Hi, this presentation is brought to you by Maddy Stiff, Kirsten Ohl, Tianna Killoran, Tamara Collard and Kait McMahon in I Have Too Much Stuff, Global Networks of Stuff. Have you ever thought about how much stuff you have? What about all of the stuff that all of the people you know own? What about all the stuff owned by the people they know? Face the facts, as members of the modern world and a global community, we are all players in a massive global networks of stuff. Global networks of stuff are something that connect many different products and items, such as clothing, medicines, books, household items, electronics, and so on. These networks intersect society on a variety of levels, maintaining stakeholders on both the individual consumer level in developed and developing nations. Governments also play a part, as well as the transnational corporations and multiple sites of manufacturing and distribution. As part of this, these networks hold notions of power and also influences ideas of space and place, as well as notions of self, community, and identity.
Power is a concept that permeates throughout all levels and space within the networks of stuff. As Foucault explains, power is a set of relations that exists among two or more free agents that exert actions and reactions upon the other in a system of competition for this power. Exemplifying forces of power in the networks of stuff, penicillin is infused with power in the ways in which it is distributed. Countries who can afford to produce and distribute penicillin are able to assert power over other countries that are unable to do so. This also works on an individual level, where wealth acts as a key to accessing the power to this medicine, hence disempowering those with less wealth. In the case of clothing production networks, corporations can possess authoritative power through their access to resources and economic capital, whilst the mere associational powers of consumers enables the influence of consumers within the networks of clothing. On the other hand, this fashion industry influences individuals and groups to compete for power among themselves, using this clothing as a means to compete for power over other individuals.
On a more intellectual level, the printed word has been a part of our community for a long time. Within that time, we have discovered its power to shape one's own space or place. Through using many different mediums such as newspapers, fiction or non-fiction books, poetry, magazines, and religious scriptures, we have witnessed the ways in which places have been given life and power, and how they have been recorded in history according to the medium used.
While the written word can be used as a form of entertainment or information, as previously explained, it is also a more sinister history of propaganda and as a medium to control the masses. From religious context to the more recent book burnings and internet censorship, books have the power over what the public reads, also ultimately has the power over what they think.
What is space and place? Well, according to Dr. Timothy D. Huar, who is a professor of humanities at Johnson County Community College, it refers to the conceptual experience of space as abstract and unnamed, while place is concrete and identified. These powers of space and place are evident in the network structures of penicillin production and distribution. The places where individuals are born give them entitlement within this network. Through this, power is very special and distributed among separate places. Whether individuals have access to penicillin depends on the places they live. Space and place can also be envisioned through networks of the printed word. We are able to describe it through books, newspapers, and even religious scripture. By using adjectives, nouns, and pronouns, we are able to imagine the places we read about, even if a picture is not always included. Narrative and literature also play a role in the formation of self, community, and identity, particularly through the use of fables and fairy tales. While originally intended for adults, their spread and popularity changed the target audience to the younger generation. As such, these tales are laced with moral and social teachings intended to guide the child into adulthood and give a sense of place to the society in which they belong.
As an aspect of power, one's recognition of self, the community, and identity allows for the power to be held or withheld over a network. This sanctions not only power on an individual level, but also over a wider community once such power is recognised.
Clothing gives example to this, as it was the degradation of cotton-picking Negro slaves in the 1800s for the exploitation of the fashion industry that encompassed these slaves' identities. Even to this day, the understanding that these minority groups have come from nothing, and that in the grand scheme of things they are still nothing, shapes minority groups' identities. These thought systems have shaped the history and sense of community and identity among ethnic groups since the dawn of the fashion industry. In an overall sense of clothing as a form of identity, corporations are able to assert their influence through seduction using fashion catwalks, magazines, and advertising. However, consumers are so many, and clothes are so widely available, individuals are empowered to make their own decisions about identity through wearing the clothing that they choose. In conclusion, it is clear that global networks of stuff are infused with distinct notions of power that permeate throughout concepts of space and place, as well as ideas of self, community, and identity. Power flows through all corners and all levels of network of stuff, which influences and transforms notions of turning space into distinct places. Furthermore, stuff can give individuals and groups distinct power as a relational effect towards others. This power can be culminated in many forms, including authoritative, associational, seductive, resources, and manipulative power. As members of the global community, we are all linked into global networks of stuff as consumers and even producers. Ever thought about the ways in which your role in stuff networks has influenced notions of power in the places throughout the world, and yours and others' concepts of self, community, and identity? Your influence may be greater than you think. After all, there are only 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.